grew up the first part of my life in Springfield. Then I moved to Webster, where I currently reside now. It's one of our ancient Nipmuck homelands. And again, I came to be part of this mission in life as a sense of urgency, not only for myself, but for indigenous people, as a means of better self-expression, as a means of having the opportunities for self-determination, opportunities, culture understanding, and different things that were never available to us in my youth. And so that's a lot of my work is around, whether it's alcohol, drug prevention, teaching kids how to learn more about the land, their culture, traditional stories. And so that's been my life's work for almost 30 years now. So I have these 3 books here because before I do that, I want to read a couple poems and I'll read a story. So I have 2 versions of a poem that, as I was developing this book for middle school children, I wanted to, so it's stories and poems, as it says. And so it's all geared to get them to have an understanding of self and their outside surroundings and so on. So this first poem, it's entitled Moccasins. It's called Different Moccasins. And I have the other version here on my phone I'll share. This entitled Different Moccasins. My moccasins are beautiful, beaded and stitched really fine, but inside the sole is broken, concealed by the design. My moccasins are ugly, torn and quilled all tattered, but my dancing is superb. My gratitude is all that matters. So if I am judging others, what do I really see? I do not know what's in those moccasins until they are on my own feet. Everyone has their own moccasins to leave behind their tracks. But if we are judging others, then we will miss our own path. Thank you. It was a calling, again, out of a sense of dire need, because growing up, when the teachers told me there were no more Indians, I was told nobody who looked like me ever accomplished anything. I was told people who looked like me were long gone or they never did anything great. And so it left had very deleterious effects on my childhood, very painful youth. Myself and many other indigenous people had experienced because of that. And it led to a lot of harmful things that happened to me and other Native people. So it was like a sense of, okay, how do I deal with this? How do I come to understand who I am as a human being, my place in this world? And so it was like reorientating myself and my culture and my people back to where they belong. And we're the first people of this land. We're the host people, but we're not told that. We're told that we don't belong and we're got to be herded to some reservation or some boarding school. And so that was a lot of the impetus for my work that I continue to do now around education, culture, tradition, and teaching this history to everybody. And so again, it's about being connected back to the land, and that's what these stories do. And so one of the things I try to do is these stories, and also put it in more practical terms too. I tell the little ones, I says, let's go outside and look around, and we'll maybe see a bumblebee collecting pollen. I said, what's that bee doing? What's he up to? And the kids, because they're pretty sharp, they say, well, that bee's collecting pollen, and without doing that, it's not going to pollinate. I think it's about 80% of the foods that we eat depend on bees, right? Anybody know? Any biologists in there? Am I right? Are those numbers about right? And so the youngster is looking at the bees and said, man, that bee has an important role in this world. It's providing food, it's pollinating the flower, it's doing these really cool things, it's working in a group, a collective. He says, man, a little tiny thing like that. Now, look at me, I'm this bipedal creature, I'm walking around, I got a brain, I have self-awareness, I can think, so what do I get to do? What's my purpose? If I'm so intelligent and so high and mighty, and that little bee is doing such a powerful thing along with earthworms and flies and maggots, they're doing these amazing things, right? So we all can be here. And what are we doing? Human beings. We don't know. And every time I talk to an elder, because I still, again, I'm a student of philosophy, and indigenous people philosophy is part of the way. I believe we are all here to help each other. That's it. We got no other use. Planet Earth, Mother Earth does not need us. Mother Earth does not need us. So we're here to help each other, enjoy, learn, and share, and pass it on. Pass it on. Reclaiming who you are and getting an education are key. And they go hand in hand. We find that And as I was using that analogy with the bee, the bumblebee earlier, about if a bee has such a dynamic mission in the world, what do you have? And so the kind of reorientating a person back to that, like what value do you have as a human being? And kind of getting them to understand that they do have value, they are special, they are important. And when we see that, when people really have that understanding, and so how do they get it, right? Learning their culture, realizing that this is their homeland. Right? That they have a great part in history, that they've made countless contributions to this society that nobody's telling them about. And we found that fundamentally changes a person's perspective on their own being. And so now they may not want to put a needle in their arm. They may not want to hurt themselves because they have something to live for. They're connected to something larger than themselves. And then the education goes right with that. And as I mentioned earlier, indigenous people, the accomplishments that they've made for eons is uncomparable in the world, the things that they did. So indigenous people have a love of knowledge and science. And so having kids the opportunity to learn different aspects of the technology of water, the technology of the sky, cosmology, algaculture, interrelationships in a classroom setting, and not necessarily in the classroom, because the classroom is sometimes in the woods. The classroom is sometimes going out picking berries. The classroom is sometimes being in a canoe and having a conversation. And my grandfather saw the path I was traveling, was really honored to be gifted this name, Cancanto Choquesiche. That is the one who has the spots, that is the crow. Translated in English, spotted crow. And the spots represent the protection of the medicine. The crow is the storyteller. He is the one who travels between life, death, and dreams. He takes on the mysteries and the understandings because he's the storyteller. He gets to go and talk to the dead and tell these stories. I'm really excited to say that everywhere I turn today, I'm being called, which is happy. I'm glad I get to go speak at many schools, and I'm always happy to go and talk and do these kind of talks at schools. So everywhere I turn throughout the state and for the country for that matter, there are professors, there are teachers and staff who are really interested in learning an indigenous perspective. There's a big movement of teaching inclusion, a big movement of teaching diversity and respect, right down to the kindergarten and preschool. And I do many talks, and they want to hear an indigenous person talk about inclusivity and different things like that. So times are changing in a good way in that respect, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Okay, this is a poem called Who We Are. Who we are. We are the wampum belt, open at both ends, still weaving our story. We are the sacred drum, that resilient beat, pulsating within Mother Earth. We are the seventh fire, ignited by our past, carrying the light for our future. We are the cedar basket, sown from the roots of the universe, forever expanding our spirit. We are the survivors and revivers, the relations of the forest, and educated by the sun. We rise like the sturdy green cornfields that kiss the cranberry dawn. We are the deep red ocean flowing within the arteries of Turtle Island. And yes, we swarm through the blood-soaked tears, traverse the wave over 500 years. The unmarked graves have scarred our dreams, long walks and trails across those icy streams. The tribe of human beings is who we are, because all of us revolve around the same star. A ceremony of condolence is how we all must begin. This is life's round dance, a circle with no end. Thank you.